Had a student ask about connecting to a database and using a scheduler. So thought I'd just take a minute here and just show you how this could potentially work. So let's start with an R script here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have an R script to create a database connection. It's going to make a database connection. It's going to list out the tables. It's then going to run a query from one of those tables. It's going to print out the results of that data frame, and then it's going to turn around and print out a histogram. So just this was the kind of the scenario which the student was asking about. So let me just kind of walk you through this. There's several different ways that you can connect. I'm just going to use a MySQL database, and I'm going to use actually a host that I know exists for data camp that's out there that you can just use to just test connections on. So first thing you got to do is you got to load the DBI library. So if you don't have that, you have to install that, but that's an easy, quick install packages DBI. And then from there, here's the syntax for making a connection. We're going to do a connect, and we're going to tell it that it's a MySQL database. In this case, the DB name is company. There's your host name right there. It's sitting out on Amazon, AWS. Going to use this port, and in most cases, that's going to be the port. User ID and password, student, and data camp. Again, it comes from the data camp course, has this particular connection. I could also connect to a local host and just show it you there as well. Next thing I'm going to do is do the DB list tables, and I'm going to pass it the connection as the parameter. So that's a connection. Once the connection is made, then it would go here. The next thing I'm going to do is do a query. So I know this is going to list out the tables that are in that database. Then I'm going to select one of the tables. I know one of the tables in that database is sales. So I'm going to go ahead and select that out. I'm going to use the fetch to actually pull that result back in. So this sets up the query right here. Here's where it actually does the fetch, and it stores it in a data frame, which I'm going to call df result. Then I'm going to turn around and just simply print off df results so you can see a print of that, so you can see a copy of it. And then we've done histograms, so it's going to do a histogram off of that price. It's going to just set a couple of titles here for me and change the color to blue. So it's a very simple script. Let me go ahead and execute that for you. There's your library. There's your database connection. No errors, so we know that it made the connection. Listing out the tables, we see there's a table for employee, products, and sales. I'm going to then set up the result. Do the data frame fetch. And we can see up here, we can see there's the actual table itself has been created. The data frame's been created. That's the field that's in it. I'm only just kind of concern myself with the price field. Print that off to show it. And then let me print a histogram over here just for good measure. So I'm going to save this file out here, and I've saved it out here in one of my sections. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually set up the scheduler that goes along with it. So here's an example of how to do a scheduler. There's actually multiple ways depending on which operating system that you're using. In my particular example, I am using Windows. So if you're using Linux or you're using MacOS, you're going to have availability to use a tool called CRON. And that actual how-to that you see right here walks you through that. So in R, if I wanted to do this and set up the task within R and then just schedule that task, and then I could just basically leave and let it be, it'll be scheduled out there to run on my Windows scheduler. This is one way that I could do it. So I'm going to use a different library called Task Scheduler R. I'm going to run a simple create right here. I'm going to call my task name. I'm just going to call it test run. And again, that's the default that come with the script. The location for where that script is, that's that database connection script, which I just wrote. I'm going to schedule it just to go once. I'm going to set the start time to be 50 seconds beyond the system time. So what you're going to see is it's just going to, when it makes the schedule, it's going to say that the task has been created. It'll sit in the scheduler for 50 seconds, and then you're actually going to see it fire. Now I can store, or I can take a look at the current tasks which are out there by doing this task scheduler ls, which stands for list. And if you're used to Unix commands, ls should be very common for you. So I can store that. We can take a look at what that looks like. And then at the end, I'm going to just simply delete the task. So this is one way that you could schedule it. Let me go ahead and execute now. Watch down in the console tab. As you can see, it says success. It's been created. Now I'm going to go ahead and capture those current tasks. It's going to take a second. There's going to be a warning message which pops up here. I'm going to safely ignore that. There's some other things that are out there. Now just watch my screen for just a few seconds. You're going to see the command prompt pop up here in just a second. It's going to actually run it. We have to wait about 50 seconds for that to happen. Maybe I should have set this for 30 seconds. There you go. Boom. So now it just ran the task. And then I'm going to just go finish this off by executing the task scheduler delete. And you can see success. It was successfully deleted. Now I just want to look back. Remember, I captured those current tasks to show you what that looks like. So here are my machine name, and then it's going to show you all the different tasks or the things that are scheduled to run on my machine. So I got quite a bit of stuff that's out there, and we can continue to kind of trim down through this log. You'll eventually find the task that we scheduled that's in there. Now, let me show you another way that you could do task scheduling here. Again, if we're within R, if you want to run that as a background task, you could do here, you could do start background job. What I'm going to do is then select that task that I wanted. So let's say database connection right here is the one that I want to run. There's some options here if I want to change it to a different working directory, if I want to run it with global environments, etc. If I want to store the job results or copy the job results, you're able to do that. I'm just going to leave it as is. Go ahead and hit start. And now it's actually running the tasks in the background. Again, it's a very small task, so it does a really quick one right here. Again, printing out that that information that I had in that one table, and also throwing out the plot there for me. So that is basically how you can do task scheduling within R. So if you wanted to do this, let's say to set this up, to run an R process, even doing a graph, capturing the picture of the graph at various times, maybe you wanted to do this like once an hour or something like that, this would be kind of the way that you would do that. Now you could take it even farther. I could take you down into PowerShell. I could take you into CRON and doing scheduling tasks there. But this gives you a general idea. So if you've got some additional questions or anything else, please just reach out and let me know, and I can drill into a little bit more of the examples on it. But that kind of answered the question that the student had. Thanks all.